Captain Alex Morrison stood at the main screen of the Deep Space Station Meridian, watching numbers scroll across the display. The station floated in the dark between Mars and Jupiter, where no one was supposed to be looking. For 3 years, Alex had been watching signals that came from empty space, and today, those signals were getting stronger. Dr. Lisa Grant walked into the command room carrying a tablet full of decoded messages. She had been working on the alien language for months and finally understood what the creatures were saying. Lisa set the tablet down on Alex's desk and pointed to the translation on the screen. The beings called themselves the Guidance Council, and they had been watching Earth for hundreds of years. They thought humans were too simple to notice them hiding in space. The messages talked about guiding human progress and making sure people on Earth developed the right way. Lisa had found dozens of references to planted ideas and controlled discoveries. Alex read through the translations, feeling his stomach drop with each line. The aliens had been treating humanity like children who needed constant supervision. They believed humans were too primitive to detect their presence or understand their technology. The council members discussed human affairs like scientists, studying lab animals. Lieutenant Commander Jake Turner entered the room carrying fresh reports from the reconnaissance teams. His stealth ships had been mapping the area around Jupiter for weeks, trying to find the source of the signals. Jake spread out the sensor readings on the table, showing Alex what they had discovered. The alien structure was massive and completely invisible to normal sensors. It had been sitting near Jupiter's largest moon for decades without anyone on Earth knowing it existed. The building was big enough to house thousands of beings and advanced enough to stay hidden from human detection systems. Jake pointed to the energy readings that showed the station was not just hiding, but actively scanning Earth. The aliens were constantly monitoring human communications and watching human activities. They had spy networks that reached into every major government and scientific institution on the planet. Dr. Grant pulled up more translations showing how the Council discussed their manipulation of human development. They had been suggesting technological breakthroughs to human scientists for generations. Many of the advances that humans thought they had discovered independently had actually been planted ideas from the alien watchers. Alex felt anger building as he read about how the Council controlled human progress. They had prevented certain discoveries they thought were too dangerous and pushed others they believed would benefit humanity. The aliens saw themselves as wise guardians, protecting humans from their own destructive nature. The translations revealed that the Council was made up of 12 different alien species all working together to guide younger civilizations. They had done this same thing to hundreds of other worlds across the galaxy. Humanity was just their latest project in a long line of controlled developments. Jake showed Alex the latest surveillance footage from his reconnaissance missions. The stealth cameras had captured images of the alien beings moving through their hidden station. The creatures looked nothing like humans, and their technology was far beyond anything on Earth. Yet they seemed completely confident that humans had no idea they existed. Lisa discovered that the Council was planning something big. The recent increase in signal traffic suggested they were preparing for a major change in their relationship with humanity. The translations mentioned formal contact and revelation protocols that would soon be activated. Alex realized that his family had been part of something much larger than he had understood. His grandfather had started the Shadow Protocol in the 1950s after detecting the first alien signals. 3 generations of the Morrison family had been quietly watching the Watchers without the aliens knowing. The Shadow Protocol had been growing for decades with secret monitoring stations spread throughout the solar system. Hundreds of people worked on the project, keeping humanity's greatest secret safe. They had been preparing for the day when the truth would finally come out. Dr. Grant showed Alex how the alien signals revealed their complete misunderstanding of human capabilities. The Council believed humans were still centuries away from real space travel and advanced technology. They had no idea that human scientists had been developing revolutionary advances in secret. Jake reported that more alien transmissions were being intercepted every day. The Council was becoming more active and their confidence was growing. They seemed to believe that humanity was finally ready for the next phase of their guidance program. Alex studied the tactical displays showing the positions of human monitoring stations around the solar system. Each station had been built to look like space debris or natural formations. The aliens had been scanning right past them for years, without realizing they were sophisticated surveillance platforms. The intercepted messages showed that the Council had been influencing human history for much longer than anyone had imagined. They had guided the development of agriculture, writing systems, and basic technology. Every major advancement in human civilization had been carefully managed by alien overseers. Lisa found references to other species the Council had guided in the past. Some had become successful members of the galactic community, while others had been deemed failures and abandoned. The aliens saw themselves as teachers helping primitive species reach their potential. Alex realized that humanity was being tested just as much as guided. The Council was constantly evaluating human progress and deciding whether the species was worth continued investment. They had criteria for success that humanity was expected to meet. Jake brought news that changed everything. His teams had successfully planted microscopic surveillance devices on the alien station during routine debris collection missions. For the first time, humans would be able to hear what the Council said in their private meetings. The alien station had been treating the tiny devices as harmless space dust for months. The Council members had no idea that their most secret discussions were being recorded and transmitted back to human intelligence networks. Alex understood that humanity stood at a crossroads. The aliens were about to reveal themselves, believing humans would be grateful for their guidance. Instead, they would discover that their supposedly primitive subjects had been watching them just as carefully as they had been watching humanity. The Guidance Council chamber buzzed with quiet conversation as representatives from 12 species gathered for their regular meeting about humanity. Zektar of the Hegemony adjusted his environmental suit and reviewed the latest reports from Earth. The humans were progressing exactly as predicted and showed no signs of detecting the Council's presence. High Arbiter Velnax of the Collective spread holographic displays across the meeting table showing human technological development. Over the past century, every major breakthrough had been carefully guided through planted suggestions and subtle influence. The humans believed they were discovering these advances independently, which made the guidance even more effective. Councillor Thys of the Dominion raised concerns about humanity's recent rapid advancement in computer technology. The species seemed to be developing faster than their models had predicted. Thys worried that humans might be more capable than the Council had initially assessed. The other Council members dismissed these concerns with confident laughter. Humans still fought constant wars among themselves and seemed incapable of true planetary unity. Their space program was primitive, and their understanding of the universe was limited to their immediate solar system. Zektar pointed to the evidence of human division and conflict. The species had nearly destroyed itself with nuclear weapons multiple times, and only Council intervention had prevented total war. Without their guidance, humanity would have collapsed into chaos decades ago. Velnax showed recordings of human leaders making decisions that aligned perfectly with Council suggestions. The humans had no idea that their greatest scientific minds were receiving inspiration from alien sources. They thought their breakthrough moments came from pure human genius. The Council reviewed their success stories from other worlds. Species after species had been guided from primitive beginnings to galactic citizenship under their careful supervision. The process took thousands of years but always produced the same result when done correctly. This remained uncomfortable. With some of the data from Earth, human mathematics and physics were advancing in unexpected directions. Their theoretical work was becoming more sophisticated than anticipated for a species at their development level. The other Council members explained that humans were simply more creative than most species they had guided. This creativity made them unpredictable but not necessarily more advanced. The humans were still working with primitive technology and basic scientific understanding. Zektar described the next phase of humanity's development. The Council would soon reveal their existence and offer formal membership in the galactic community. Humans would be grateful for the guidance they had received and eager to learn from their alien mentors. The Revelation Protocol had been used successfully on dozens of previous worlds. The process began with subtle signs of alien presence followed by increasingly obvious demonstrations of advanced technology. Finally, the council would make formal contact and explain their role as benevolent guides. Velnax showed the prepared contact messages that would be broadcast to Earth when the time was right. The messages emphasized the council's wisdom and experience while positioning humans as junior partners in the galactic community. Humanity would be expected to show appropriate gratitude and respect. The council discussed which human leaders should be contacted first. They had identified several scientists and political figures who seemed most likely to understand the benefits of alien guidance. These individuals had been subtly prepared through years of carefully planted ideas. This pointed out that some human nations might resist council authority. The species had a troubling tendency toward independence and might not accept alien oversight willingly. This could complicate the revelation process and require more forceful intervention. Zektar assured the council that human resistance would be minimal once they understood the benefits of membership. No primitive species had ever refused council guidance when shown the alternatives. Humans would quickly realize they needed alien help to survive and prosper. The council reviewed their monitoring systems that kept constant watch over Earth. Thousands of hidden sensors tracked human activities while sophisticated analysis programs predicted future developments. The humans had no way to detect these systems with their primitive technology. Velnax reported that human space exploration remained limited to their immediate neighborhood. Their rocket technology was centuries behind what would be needed for interstellar travel. This proved that humans were nowhere near ready for independent space colonization. The council discussed human cultural development with satisfaction. The species had been guided toward values that aligned with galactic civilization. Their art, music, and literature showed appropriate themes of cooperation and peaceful development. This raised questions about human military technology, which seemed more advanced than expected. Some weapon systems showed design features that were unusually sophisticated for a species at humanity's supposed level. The other council members explained that humans were naturally aggressive and put more effort into weapons than most species. This was considered a negative trait that would need correction once formal contact was established. The council would help redirect human energy toward more productive pursuits. Zektar showed population projections for Earth over the next several centuries. Human numbers would need to be carefully managed to prevent overpopulation and resource depletion. The council had experience helping species maintain sustainable population levels. The meeting turned to practical preparations for first contact. Special facilities would need to be constructed on Earth, where human representatives could meet safely with council members. These facilities would demonstrate alien technology while keeping humans appropriately impressed. Velnax discussed the education programs that would be established after contact. Humans would need extensive training to understand their place in galactic society. The council had developed curriculum that had worked well with previous species. The council reviewed security protocols for the revelation process. While they expected no real resistance from humans, the procedures required preparations for multiple scenarios. Backup plans existed for everything from hostile reactions to complete social collapse. This expressed final concerns about proceeding too quickly with humanity. The species showed some unusual characteristics that might indicate hidden capabilities. Perhaps more observation was needed before making contact. The majority of council members voted to proceed with revelation as planned. Humanity had been under observation for long enough and showed all the signs of readiness for formal guidance. The species would benefit greatly from joining the galactic community under council supervision. Zektar closed the meeting by authorizing final preparations for contact with Earth. Within months, the council would reveal themselves to humanity and begin the next phase of their relationship. The humans would finally learn who had been watching over them all these years. Deep beneath the Colorado mountains, General Robert Hayes walked through corridors that officially did not exist. The Shadow Protocol facility had been expanding for 70 years and now housed the most advanced technology on Earth. Everything the aliens thought they knew about human capabilities was carefully orchestrated deception. Dr. Helen Price stood before a holographic display showing the real state of human space technology. Ships capable of faster-than-light travel sat in hidden bases throughout the solar system. Advanced weapons systems that could penetrate alien shields waited in concealed installations. The council had no idea what humanity had actually achieved. General Hayes gathered his staff in the main briefing room, where maps of the galaxy covered every wall. The Shadow Protocol had been tracking alien movements for decades and building detailed intelligence files on every species in the council. Humanity knew more about galactic politics than most galactic citizens. Commander Steve Walsh demonstrated the latest human stealth technology that made ships completely invisible to alien sensors. The same technology had been used to hide monitoring stations throughout space while the council conducted their observations. Every alien movement had been tracked and recorded. Dr. Price explained how humanity had managed to develop advanced technology while maintaining the appearance of primitiveness. Research programs were compartmentalized and hidden across multiple secret facilities. The breakthroughs that reached public knowledge were carefully selected to match council expectations. The deception had required incredible coordination across multiple governments and scientific institutions. Thousands of people worked on classified projects while millions more unknowingly helped maintain the illusion. Public space programs used deliberately outdated technology, while secret programs achieved revolutionary advances. General Hayes showed recordings of alien surveillance attempts that had been detected and countered. Human counterintelligence teams had been feeding false information to council monitoring systems for years. The aliens saw exactly what humanity wanted them to see. Agent Nina Collins reported from the field where she had been tracking council operatives on Earth. The aliens had agents embedded in human institutions, but they had no idea that human agents were embedded right back. Every alien move was anticipated and countered. The Shadow Protocol had been established in 1952, when the first alien signals were detected. Government scientists realized immediately that humanity was being watched and began preparations for eventual contact. The decision was made to let the aliens think they were in control, while humanity prepared for the truth. Dr. Price demonstrated communication systems that could instantly connect secret facilities across the solar system. The network operated on principles the Council thought humans would not discover for centuries. Advanced artificial intelligence helped coordinate the massive deception operation. General Hayes explained the revelation protocol that would soon be activated. When the Council finally made contact, they would discover that humanity had been watching them just as carefully. The shock would give humans a significant advantage in the coming negotiations. Commander Walsh showed weapon systems designed specifically to counter alien technology. Human engineers had studied Council equipment through stolen samples and captured surveillance devices. Every known alien defense had been analyzed and countermeasures developed. The facility contained samples of alien technology that had been secretly acquired over decades of covert operations. Human scientists had reverse-engineered most Council devices and improved on many of their designs. The students had surpassed their teachers without the teachers knowing. Dr. Price revealed that human space exploration had actually begun in the 1960s with secret missions that remained classified. While the public celebrated moon landings, human explorers were already establishing bases throughout the solar system. The real space program was 50 years ahead of what the Council believed. General Hayes showed intelligence reports on every Council species, including their strengths, weaknesses, and political divisions. Humanity understood galactic power structures better than many galactic governments. The supposed primitives had become experts on their supposed guides. The briefing included psychological profiles of individual Council members based on years of surveillance. Human analysts knew how each alien representative thought and what motivated their decisions. This knowledge would be crucial when formal negotiations began. Agent Collins described how human operatives had infiltrated alien facilities without being detected. Microscopic devices had been planted throughout Council installations, providing real-time intelligence on alien activities. The Watchers were being watched more thoroughly than they realized. Dr. Price explained the education programs that had been preparing selected humans for galactic contact. Language specialists had mastered every known alien dialect, while diplomats studied galactic law and customs. Humanity would not enter galactic society as ignorant newcomers. The Shadow Protocol included contingency plans for every possible scenario, from peaceful contact to open warfare. Human military forces had been secretly preparing for conflicts, with technology decades beyond what the Council suspected. The surprise would be complete and devastating. General Hayes revealed that human genetic research had advanced far beyond Council estimates. Medical technology that the aliens thought impossible was already in use in secret facilities. Humans were enhancing their own capabilities while maintaining the appearance of biological limitations. Commander Walsh demonstrated manufacturing capabilities that could produce advanced technology at incredible speed. Hidden factories throughout the solar system could arm humanity for galactic conflict within weeks. The production capacity existed to outfit an entire interstellar fleet. The facility contained diplomatic materials prepared for first contact, including detailed proposals for human participation in galactic affairs. Rather than accepting junior status, humanity was prepared to demand equal partnership based on demonstrated capabilities. Dr. Price showed economic analysis indicating that human technology was already competitive with many galactic standards. In some areas, humanity had achieved advances that exceeded Council capabilities. The supposed primitives were ready to become teachers themselves. Agent Collins reported that Council security around Earth was completely compromised. Human intelligence networks had mapped every alien installation and identified every surveillance device. When the time came, humanity could shut down alien monitoring instantly. General Hayes concluded the briefing by authorizing the final phase of preparation. All secret facilities were placed on highest alert, and covert teams moved into position around alien installations. Humanity was ready to reveal the truth that would shock the galaxy. The Shadow Protocol had succeeded beyond all expectations. For 70 years, humanity had maintained perfect deception while developing capabilities that would astound their supposed guides. The Council was about to learn that their greatest success was actually their greatest failure. The Council's massive station began its planned decloak near Earth exactly as their protocols demanded. High Arbiter Velnax activated the revelation sequence that had been used successfully on dozens of previous worlds. The alien structure materialized, against the black of space, expecting to inspire awe and submission from the primitive humans below. Admiral Frank Thompson sat calmly in what appeared to be a basic Earth command center, watching the alien station appear on his screens. The room looked like something from decades past, with simple displays and outdated equipment. Everything was carefully designed to match Council expectations of human technological capability. Velnax transmitted the prepared first contact message explaining the Council's benevolent role in guiding humanity's development. The message emphasized their wisdom and experience while offering humanity the chance to join the galactic community as junior partners. The aliens expected gratitude and immediate acceptance of their authority. Admiral Thompson's response came through clear and steady, without any of the panic or amazement the Council anticipated. He thanked them politely for their interest and invited them to formal discussions about mutual cooperation between equals. The word equals hung in the transmission like an unexpected challenge. The Council members looked at each other with growing confusion. No primitive species had ever used that word during first contact. Humans were supposed to be overwhelmed by the revelation and eager to accept Council guidance. This calm confidence was not part of any previous pattern. Thompson continued his transmission by casually mentioning specific details from recent Council meetings. He referenced private conversations that should have been impossible for humans to intercept. The Admiral knew exactly what the aliens had been saying about humanity in their most secure discussions. Dr. Lisa Grant's voice joined the transmission, speaking perfect hegemony standard with flawless pronunciation. She offered to continue the conversation in any of the 12 Council languages and thanked them for their educational observations over the years. Her linguistic mastery should have been impossible for a primitive human. Counselor Thiss felt the first real moment of fear as the implications began to sink in. If humans could understand their languages and intercept their communications, then everything the Council believed about human capabilities was wrong. The species they thought they were guiding had been studying them. The shock deepened when Captain Alex Morrison's fleet suddenly appeared around the Council station. Dozens of advanced human vessels dropped their cloaking, simultaneously revealing technology that should not have existed for centuries. Each ship bore weapons and shields that matched or exceeded Council capabilities. Zektar stared at the human ships in complete disbelief. The sleek vessels showed design principles that indicated deep understanding of advanced physics and engineering. These were not the primitive craft of a species still learning to leave their planet. These were the ships of an established spacefaring civilization. Admiral Thompson's next transmission included detailed technical specifications for the Council's own station. He knew the exact composition of their hull materials, the frequency of their shield generators, and the capacity of their power systems. Humans had been studying alien technology far more thoroughly than aliens had been studying human development. Dr. Grant began sharing historical analysis that left the Council speechless. She described how humanity had been aware of alien presence since the 1950s and had been carefully managing their public development to maintain the illusion of primitiveness. Every technological breakthrough the Council thought they had guided had actually been controlled by human planners. The revelation that humans had been deliberately deceiving them for decades struck each Council member like a physical blow. They had been so confident in their superiority and so certain of human limitations that they had never considered the possibility of being outmaneuvered by their supposed subjects. Commander Jake Turner transmitted surveillance footage from inside the Council's own facilities. Microscopic human devices had been recording alien activities for years, while the Council remained completely unaware. Their most private discussions had been monitored and analyzed by human intelligence networks. The scope of human deception became clear as more evidence poured in. Humans had not only detected the Council, but had been actively countering their influence while pretending to be guided. Every alien suggestion had been carefully evaluated and either accepted or rejected based on human interests rather than alien wisdom. Thompson revealed that human space exploration had actually begun decades earlier than the Council realized. Secret missions had established bases throughout the solar system, while public programs maintained the appearance of primitive capabilities. The real human space program was generations ahead of Council estimates. Dr. Grant showed the aliens detailed files on every Council species, including their technologies, cultures, and political structures. Human intelligence had penetrated alien society more thoroughly than alien intelligence had penetrated human society. The students had been studying their teachers with far greater success. The Council faced the horrifying realization that everything they thought they knew about humanity was carefully constructed deception. The species they had been treating as children had been manipulating them with masterful precision while preparing for this exact moment. Belnax attempted to reassert Council authority by demanding explanations for human deception. The response came from General Robert Hayes, who politely explained that humanity had been protecting itself from unwanted interference while developing its own path forward. The defensive tone suggested humans felt no guilt about their actions. The final shock came when Thompson revealed the true extent of human technological advancement. Faster-than-light communication, advanced artificial intelligence, and weapons capable of challenging any Council fleet. Humanity was not seeking to join galactic civilization as newcomers but as equals with their own contributions to offer. Theiss voiced what every Council member was thinking but afraid to say. They had completely failed to understand the species they thought they were guiding. Humanity had outgrown their guidance decades ago and had been allowing the relationship to continue only to study their supposed teachers. The Council sat in stunned silence as the full scope of their miscalculation became clear. They had been played by a species they considered primitive, while that species developed capabilities that challenged their own technological superiority. The Watchers had been watched, and the teachers had been taught. Admiral Thompson's final transmission offered the Council a simple choice. They could establish genuine partnership based on mutual respect and equality, or humanity would politely withdraw from any further contact. The species that had once needed guidance was now in a position to offer it. Director Carl Davis walked through the corridors of the Council station as an invited guest rather than a primitive subject. The aliens had reluctantly agreed to formal negotiations after realizing that humanity was no longer dependent on their guidance. The roles had completely reversed, with the Council now seeking human approval for continued contact. The alien representatives sat around their meeting table, looking diminished and uncertain. For the first time in their long history, they faced a species that had outmaneuvered them completely. Their confidence was shattered, and their assumptions about galactic civilization needed complete revision. Davis took his place at the table as Earth's diplomatic representative. Behind him stood Dr. Helen Price and General Hayes, representing humanity's scientific and military achievements. The humans carried themselves with quiet confidence, while the aliens struggled to adjust to their new reality. High Arbiter Velnax attempted to salvage some dignity by explaining that the Council had always intended to treat humanity as equals once they reached sufficient development. The statement rang hollow when everyone present knew the aliens had been planning continued supervision for centuries. Dr. Price responded by presenting detailed records of Council discussions that proved their paternalistic intentions. The aliens had never planned to treat humans as equals and had been preparing long-term control systems disguised as guidance programs. Their benevolent claims were contradicted by their own documented plans. Councillor Thiss admitted that the Council had fundamentally misunderstood human nature and capabilities. They had applied their standard template for primitive species without recognizing that humanity was developing along a completely different path. Their failure was total and unprecedented. Davis explained humanity's position with diplomatic politeness that barely concealed steel underneath. Humans were willing to participate in galactic civilization, but only as full partners with complete sovereignty over their own affairs. The days of outside guidance were permanently over. Zektar asked how humanity had managed to develop so far beyond Council estimates while maintaining perfect deception. The question revealed how completely the aliens had been outplayed by a species they considered intellectually inferior. General Hayes described the Shadow Protocol and how 3 generations of humans had worked to prepare for this moment. The project had required incredible coordination and discipline, but had succeeded in giving humanity every advantage when the truth finally emerged. The Council learned that human development had proceeded along multiple hidden tracks while maintaining public facades that matched alien expectations. Real advancement had been compartmentalized and protected while false progress was displayed for alien observers. Dr. Price revealed that humanity had been testing the Council just as thoroughly as being tested. Every alien suggestion had been evaluated for its true purpose and either accepted or rejected, based on human strategic interests. The supposed subjects had been managing their supposed guides. The aliens realized that their greatest success story was actually their greatest failure. They had been completely deceived by a species that allowed them to believe they were in control, while systematically undermining their authority and developing independent capabilities. Davis presented humanity's terms for future cooperation. The Council could maintain peaceful relations with Earth, but any attempt to reassert control or guidance would result in immediate termination of contact. Humanity would chart its own course through galactic civilization. The negotiations revealed how much the power balance had shifted. The Council found themselves seeking human approval for continued relationship, while humans held all the advantages. The species they had guided for centuries was now in position to guide them. Velnax asked about human intentions toward other species under Council guidance. The question showed their fear that humanity might challenge their authority throughout the galaxy. Their position as galactic leaders was suddenly uncertain. General Hayes assured the Council that humanity had no interest in disrupting their relationships with other species. However, any species that chose to seek human partnership would be welcomed as equals rather than subjects. The choice would belong to each civilization. The Council faced the reality that their entire approach to galactic civilization needed revision. The assumption that advanced species should guide primitive ones had been challenged by a supposedly primitive species that had become their equal through independent development. Dr. Price offered to share some human technological advances with Council species in exchange for access to galactic knowledge networks. The offer was presented as cooperation between equals rather than the hierarchical relationship the Council had planned. The aliens struggled to accept their new status, but gradually realized they had no choice. Humanity held superior intelligence, capabilities matching technology, and complete strategic surprise. The Council's only option was genuine partnership or complete separation. Davis concluded the negotiations by establishing formal diplomatic relations between humanity and the galactic community. Earth would participate in galactic affairs as a sovereign power with full rights and responsibilities. The guidance phase was officially terminated. The Council members signed agreements that formalized humanity's independence and recognized Earth's right to pursue its own development path. The documents marked the end of alien oversight and the beginning of genuine partnership between species. This privately acknowledged that humanity had taught the Council valuable lessons about underestimating other species. Their arrogance had blinded them to capabilities that should have been obvious to experienced galactic observers. The final sessions focused on practical arrangements for ongoing cooperation. Trade agreements, technology exchanges, and diplomatic protocols were established on the basis of equality rather than hierarchy. The relationship had been completely transformed. As the negotiations concluded, Davis reflected on humanity's achievement. The species had not only gained independence, but had earned respect through demonstration of superior planning and execution. The former subjects had become teachers of galactic politics. The Council departed with their worldview fundamentally changed. They had learned that wisdom could come from any species, and that guidance worked best when offered rather than imposed. Their encounter with humanity would influence their approach to other civilizations for generations. General Hayes watched the alien ships leave knowing that humanity had successfully navigated the most dangerous transition in its history. The species had moved from guided development to galactic independence while maintaining complete strategic control throughout the process. The galaxy would never be the same after humanity's revelation. Other species would look at the Council's authority with new skepticism while humans offered an alternative model of independent development. The age of enforced guidance was ending, and the age of chosen cooperation was beginning.